Well, hey there, Wisconsin. Good morning. It is 6:06. It's a Monday morning, October 27th, 2025, and it's another beautiful morning to have you here up north, live from Lake Wissota. From wherever you're spending your mornings, listening across the Civic Media Radio Network, or listening or watching us on all the different platforms, YouTube and Facebook and the podcast and the web. There's just so many ways. However you got here, we're glad you did to get your work week started off right. I got a question for you. If you went to bed early, like I did, do you feel do you feel bad? Do you feel a little guilty? Because the Packers really didn't kick it into gear until the second half, and some of us just missed out. In part because it looked like our regular kicker wasn't really ready to come back from injury. But thankfully, while some of us had clocked out, Jordan Love said, "I will take it from here. Thank you very much," and led the team to 4 second-half touchdowns, sending Aaron Rodgers to defeat by a final score of 35-25. We will talk to producer Parker Olson about his notes on it because, you know, he's young and strong and can stay awake for these kinds of things. So we'll ask him his impressions of the game, as well as Jimmy Kuska, Civic Media Sports Director, will be along throughout the course of the morning as well. And as always, we welcome your comments on the game or anything else that went on this weekend. 855-75-CIVIC, 855-752-4842. Use that Civic Media app if you like to call us or text us or leave us a voice note. We'd love to have your feedback or in the comment sections of YouTube or Facebook. That would be the Up North News Facebook and YouTube pages, or the Civic Media Facebook and YouTube pages. Also coming up, Selena Heller is going to have a report about how this government shutdown imposed by the president and congressional Republicans is causing real pain to Wisconsin families. And you're going to hear that in the anguished voice of one Wisconsin woman who's in Selena's report coming up just under from now. In our question of the week in our Sunday morning newsletter, we might have finally come up with the ultimate 50-50 question. Not just, are you Democrat or Republican? We're a 50-50 state, but on something you might not expect. And it turns out the issue is nuclear power. Should Wisconsin have a new nuclear power plant? You'll recall that there was one in Two Rivers for many years and then shut down about a decade ago or so. And now there's interest in building a new nuclear plant on that site. And that would come with claims that nuclear energy, is carbon free. I mean, not entirely. You got to build the plant and the operations and everything, but nuclear power generation itself is carbon free. But it also comes with other potential hazards. And so far, of the many answers that have come in, it's been a pretty close to 50-50 division on whether Wisconsin needs a new nuclear power plant, and would you support it? That was our question of the week in our Sunday morning newsletter through Up North News, Sunday mornings with Pat Kreitlow, and you can subscribe to it by heading to the Up North News website, upnorthnewswi.com. Click subscribe in the top banner. There is, of course, a weekday newsletter that goes out as well that Ellie Bordeaux puts together for us, and in there includes a link to my new website story on how the president and Republicans are weaponizing red tape for SNAP and Medicaid and how it's hurting working families. But Ellie also has a story in there about Giving Tuesday. It's going to sneak up on you because Thanksgiving is kind of late in the month this year. So Giving Tuesday is on December 2nd. And so it's not too soon to start thinking about that. She has a story about the group Bikes for Kids Wisconsin, which has fixed up and given thousands of bikes to kids in several communities statewide. They are accepting donations to fix up and distribute bikes to children in communities across Wisconsin. The website is bikesforkidswi.org. That's bikesforkidswi.org. And again, that story and more in our newsletter. Sign up for it at upnorthnewswi.com. All right, I think we have set the table now for Parker to welcome us now and fill in the sleepy members of the audience. Well, no, actually, we're less sleepy. We actually got enough sleep. We're not sleep deprived. We're football deprived, Parker, because some of us, admittedly, might have given up on the team a little too soon. I will plead guilty. I know. Tisk away. I've earned it. I get it. So, but again, you get my point that Mr. McManus was not looking good. First the Well, 2 missed field goals.
Yeah.
And at that point, we're down at halftime, and I'm like, I don't want to stay up late for this.
That's valid. I don't blame him for missing the first field goal. Like, it was a long field. I forget what it was. I want to say it was 57.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't really blame you for missing that. It was short, if I remember right. I don't know by how much, but it was short.
Yeah.
Coming off an injury, I think it could be kind of tough, especially on that field. I'm really surprised that they let him get the start in Pittsburgh, given is it Haverisk? He was doing perfectly fine.
He was doing fine. He's doing fine. Bring him back.
And that field in Pittsburgh is really
that field was awful.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It's like they're playing on a beach or a sandlot or something.
Yeah.
It was really bad. So yes, Tony, as he notes on Facebook, I did miss Jordan Love with 20 straight completed passes between the end of the first half and a big chunk of the second half, which I don't even know if I would have caught that at the time. I'm not paying that much attention. You know, the announcers probably would have said it at some point, but
they didn't say it until very late into it, I think.
See, it's you notice it more readily in baseball when you notice, like, wow, he's retired. Like the Dodger pitcher who pitched a complete game against the Brewers in the NLCS and pitched a complete game in the World Series a couple of nights back.
It wasn't the same guy, was it?
Wasn't it? Yes, it was, because he was the first person to have 2 complete postseason games in like a million years, something like that. Now, I am prone to making mistakes, as Alicia points out, the nuclear power plant, not in Two Rivers. That we're talking about the one in Kewaunee County, not Two Rivers. There were 2 different ones up there. And Tony responds on that one, no new nuclear plants until they can figure out how to dispose of the waste, which, well, that we haven't gotten to that little issue yet. So that is part of what is inspiring the answers. Anyway, the World Series is tied at a game apiece now. It's a little bittersweet. I would love to be sitting here this morning going, God, can you believe the Brewers are up, 2-0 in the World Series? This is going to be great. Yeah. Turned out to be not that kind of a year after all.
No, it never is.
And so, but getting back to the football there. So you stayed up. You were happy you did. No regrets.
No, some regrets. Not that
many. Nothing that coffee can't. Oh, wait, you're not a coffee drinker. Okay. Well, the official record of the game reads like this. Jordan Love passed for 360 yards and 3 touchdowns as Green Bay raced past Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers 35-25. The Packers had 454 yards of total offense. In other words, Jordan Love understood the assignment. You're playing Aaron Rodgers for the first time, and everybody is going to be watching. So
Jordan Love, I don't know if this was the Jordan Love legacy game or the Tucker Kraft legacy game.
Well, that was going to be my next point. Is again at our neighborhood watering hole, and I'm not here to glorify alcoholic beverages at 6:15 in the morning, but there is the passing around of some little green shot glasses after touchdowns, which ostensibly is apple pucker. It might have been diluted a bit, but anyway. So the new line there is if you want pucker, go to Tucker, because that guy, 7 passes caught for a career high 143 yards and 2 touchdowns. Love went 29 of 35, and Christian Watson is back. Christian Watson, 4 receptions for 85 yards in his return from a torn ACL in the 2024 regular season finale. And I will admit, I fully expected Christian Watson, unlike his very first run, to blow out a tire, but he did not. And so Josh Jacobs, now he ran for just 33 yards, but he had a 3-yard scoring sprint on the first play of the fourth quarter that put the Packers up for good. By the end, Aaron Rodgers found himself in familiar territory, hearing the fans chanting, "Go, Pack, go!" Except it was the first time in 21 years that Rodgers found himself on the other end of it. Green Bay now 5 wins, 1 loss, 1 tie, staying in contention in a wide open NFC. They will host the Carolina Panthers next Sunday. It is a noon game that you can hear on several Civic Media stations. Roger from Stevens Point on Facebook. The fact that a guy named Kraft plays for a team whose fans identify as cheeseheads is really wild. Yes.
It makes me happy. It makes
Yeah.
Tucker Kraft in every way is the perfect Green Bay Packer.
Yeah. Oh, I just think he's great. I was saying last week, why aren't we throwing to him more? Why aren't we using him more? And clearly somebody heard me. Tony writes up in Ashland on YouTube, Kraft was amazing, but they don't need to constantly use the video of his hometown for every primetime game. Oh, Tony, disagree. Yes, they do. If you're from a teeny tiny town in South Dakota and like the entire county is packing into one little roadhouse to watch the game, I mean, trust me, from working in TV, that's gold. You're going to go to that every chance you get. So he also, Tony writes, Watson was my biggest surprise of the game. He'll get hurt in like 4 weeks, not the first game back.
Yeah, okay. That's probably fair. I mean, I feel like we need to highlight Emmanuel Wilson running the ball. He was incredibly good running for the Packers. He got downhill like incredibly quickly. He was really fun to watch last night.
I will have to pay more attention to that. Yes. How did your Whitewater Warhawks do?
We did very good, Pat.
No, you did very well. You don't do very good. You feel good, but you did well. Okay, goodly. That's better. Okay.
Very good first half as per usual, actually. And then they started to look like they were going into their shell again in the second half, which is kind of a normal thing that they do. They usually only play 30 minutes.
This was against Platteville?
This was against Platteville, yes. But then they figured it out. They kind of got the kick in the pants and figured it out in the second half. They kind of dominated again in the fourth quarter. 29-19 win. The Miners Pickaxe is back in Whitewater.
The Miners Pickaxe. All right.
Yes.
And again, it's a reflection on the state of football in Wisconsin these days that we're going Packers, Whitewater, and then the Badgers. The number 6 team in the country, Oregon, overcame a slow start to hand Wisconsin its 6th straight loss. 21-7 was the final score on a rainy Saturday night. Wisconsin avoided its 3rd straight shutout. Hunter Simmons, a 2-yard touchdown pass to Lance Mason with about 8 minutes left in the game. The touchdown snapped a drought of 11 straight quarters without a point for the Badgers, who dropped to 2-6 overall and 0-5 in the Big Ten. Let's see, the Badgers had not gone scoreless in 3 straight games since 1968. So, we got that going for us. I love this. The AP story says, the loss was tough, but getting the scoring drought out of the way was important, according to Coach Luke Fickell. And then there's this long quote about how important it is to score some points. At time, we've got to figure out how to string these things together and get better. That's right, Coach. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. The Badgers will host Washington at Camp Randall this coming weekend. I think start time is still TBD. And I just got a note from Dr. Kristen Lyerly, who was there watching the game, but unfortunately says she's not in a position to be able to join us at 6:30. She has no voice, she says, which just underscores that it clearly was a fun game to watch, especially in the second half. From the heart of America's up north, live from Lake Wissota, thanks for making this the place to spend part of your mornings. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Let's tell you what else is coming up on the program today, then just a little bit more sports and a little bit of a peek at the news headlines today. We'll be talking to Lucy Ripp from A Better Wisconsin Together coming up at 7:35, and that'll be about how there are already numerous candidates running for election in 2026 on the Republican side of the ticket that have proven to be hostile to basic women's health care rights. We'll get into that. In our 8:30 half hour, we will talk to Carmen Solis, a small business owner from Altoona. She's originally from Mexico. She has created her own American dream here in the Chippewa Valley and recently spoke to the Wisconsin Latino Chamber of Commerce about her story and to provide encouragement to others because America has been and will once again be a place where immigrants can make their dreams come true and make a better life for themselves here. We will be talking to Civic Media Sports Director Jimmy Kuska. We'll talk to our friends John and Gordy out of Madison. Jane Matenaer will preview her show coming up at 9 o'clock here across the Civic Media Radio Network. And if you can't stick around for all of that, well, for heaven's sakes, get over to Spotify and get us subscribed to as a podcast, or Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. And that way you can follow along and not miss a guest at any given point as we cover so many different subjects, and including sports, and that would include the Milwaukee Bucks, who are in action, and they lost against where did my Bucks score go? There it is, against the Cleveland Cavaliers, 118-113 on Sunday night. Giannis was 1 assist shy of a triple-double. He had 40 points, 14 rebounds. The Bucks will host the New York Knicks on Tuesday night. The Badger women's volleyball team won twice at home over the weekend, beating Washington on Friday and Oregon on Sunday. The Badger women are ranked 12th nationally after a loss last week, so the Badgers are now 15-3 on the season. And what an assignment they have at the Fieldhouse coming up this Friday, a Halloween matchup with the number 1 team in the country. Yes, of course, we're talking about Nebraska. Nebraska is 20-0 on the season. The Badger women will try to defeat their nemesis starting at 8 o'clock Friday night. A Halloween matchup at the Fieldhouse to be televised on the Big Ten Network. And the Badger men's basketball team has one more exhibition game left before they start their season, and it'll be against UW Platteville, and you'll be able to hear that on some stations of the Civic Media Radio Network Wednesday starting at 6:30 on stations in Richland Center, Amory, Wisconsin Rapids, and Ripon. If you want to learn more, head over to the website, civicmedia.us. In the news over the weekend, one of the stories that really stuck out at me was that as the government shutdown drags on, federal employees are either being sent home, some are being laid off, almost none of them are being paid. Well, I say almost none of them because occasionally one of the issues that comes up during a shutdown is whether to find a way to pay people like air traffic controllers who are under stress and keeping us safe, but also members of the military. And over the weekend came this word that an anonymous donor wanted to donate something like $130 million to help pay our troops, which sounds generous, but with about 1.3 million members of the armed forces, that's $100. And you might think, well, I mean, it's still a nice gesture if everybody were to get $100 in lieu of a paycheck, but you're missing the larger point. And the larger point is that we don't do paid mercenary armies in this country. We want armed forces that are loyal to the American people, to the American flag, to American ideals, and not fight simply for whichever person pays them. We've certainly learned that lesson from history over the many years, haven't we? Well, not entirely. And so from Politico, there are members of Congress who say that while they're happy troops might be getting paid, they're not necessarily happy that Trump is claiming all kinds of vast power over federal spending in order to do it. Because once again, you have a Congress that has neutered itself and has the power to work together, not to impose things, but to work with Democrats because they need Democratic votes. And I know that there are still some people who are grappling with this basic math, who somehow want it to be Democrats' fault. They don't run the show. Republicans are running the show, and they know that they need 60 votes to get anything passed. And so that's how this works. When you don't have the votes and you need the votes, you talk to each other. Republicans don't want to talk. They're looking to impose maximum pain to try to simply get Democrats to cave, to get Democrats to say, you know what, you're right. Let's go ahead and jack up health insurance costs for every American family out there. No, they're putting a line in the sand saying, this is not tough, guys, you Republicans. You simply have to not jack up everybody's health insurance costs, and we can get this government running again, get everybody paid, including the military, including our air traffic controllers. Over the weekend, it was noted that flights to Los Angeles International were halted at times due to an air traffic controller shortage. And Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is once again trying to talk big at the bar, all about how, he wants to put this on Democrats somehow. when this is a guy who, again, once upon a time claimed he would be like this independent voice for northern Wisconsin. Remember that? It seems so quaint so long ago. This is a guy that could stand up to Elon Musk. He's been the leading voice for that. He should be the one to be able to go to his president and say, I think we have to find a way around this because my air traffic controllers deserve to be paid. And they do. All federal employees do. But to do that, we need a cabinet secretary and others willing to speak some truth to power. Gladys Knight takes us on a midnight train coming up in today's history lesson right after this. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Only Gladys Knight could make failure sound fun and sexy and melancholy all at the same time. On this day in 1973, Gladys and the Pips began a 2-week run atop the singles chart for Midnight Train to Georgia, again this day in 1973. In today's history lesson, it was 3 years ago today, Parker, that Elon Musk took over ownership and control of Twitter. Happy dumpster fire birthday to you, Twitter. You've been nothing but a cesspool of MAGA porn ever since. I did not see that coming. Oh, wait. Yes, some of us did.
I'm just impressed that the thing hasn't actually blown up and stopped functioning. Because that was a major concern for a while, actually.
There's a lot of bubble gum and baling wire keeping this thing together. And people still using it. Blue Sky and others have tried to become alternatives, and it lives like Frankenstein's monster here of what it used to be.
I will admit, I'm mostly on Twitter.
On this day in 1904, the subway opened for the first time in New York City. Over 100,000 people each paid a nickel to take a ride on the subway. You can't get much for nickels anymore in this day and age.
Can you get anything for a nickel?
I
don't know what you can get for nickel.
I don't know that you can. I mean, Quick Trip isn't giving out pennies anymore. Nickels can't be that far away. On this day in 1682, the city of Philadelphia was founded by William Penn. The guy they named Pennsylvania for. So happy birthday to Philadelphia. It's a shame that Dr. Lyerly can't join us because one of her big time crushes has a birthday today. Happy 67th birthday to Simon Le Bon. So Duran Duran's lead singer turned 67 years old today. Pause here. Kristen inserts long story about Duran Duran. Okay, we'll come back. Remind me to ask her about it on Friday.
Oh, wow.
Love
the story.
Yeah. Well, no, she probably has multiple. I don't know. Let's see. Tony's idea on nickels is to start saying nickel for your thoughts. With inflation, I think a penny is too low.
That's a great.
Happy birthday to WISN TV, Channel 12 in Milwaukee. They began broadcasting on this day 71 years ago, 1954. On this day in 1955, the movie Rebel Without a Cause, starring James Dean and Natalie Wood, was released. And our next happy birthday goes to singer Lee Greenwood. I mean, everybody in MAGA world loves Lee Greenwood. He's 83 years old today. So won't you join me and sing along with the ultimate American song that Lee Greenwood is so proud to sing. He sings it all the time about how great America is. Let's play Lee Greenwood.
What I remember.
Happy birthday, Lee Greenwood, who's proven to be extremely versatile, as any good American should be. This is the anniversary of the birth of former President Theodore Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt, born this day in 1858. John Cleese from Monty Python is 86 years old today.
There we go.
And now officially the funniest 86-year-old man alive.
Probably.
This is the anniversary of the birth of the late Dick Dodd, born this day in 1945, lead singer of the Standells. They'll live in rock and roll history forever for their little song here about the city of Boston. It's the anniversary of the birth of the late Scott Weiland, lead singer of Stone Temple Pilots, born this day in 1967, passed away in 2015. On this day, 50 years ago today, 1975, Bruce Springsteen was on the cover of Newsweek and the cover of Time magazine, something that did not happen very often back in the days of news magazines. You might have to ask your parents about that. But anyway, it was all amid acclaim for his groundbreaking third album, Born to Run. And both magazines took note and put him on the cover 50 years ago today. On this day in 1982, Prince released his fifth album. Here's the title track. Remember, this came out, people were like, 1999. Oh, that's so far away. Why is he singing about a song 17 years from now? It's going to take forever for that to get here. In hindsight, not really. It was there, and now it's been gone for 26 years already. But the album 1999 came out this week in 1982. It was a breakthrough for Prince, selling more than 5 million copies worldwide, thanks not only to the title track, but Little Red Corvette and more. What is it about Taylor Swift in October? She's like all over October.
I don't know. I guess it's her season.
I know she has a birthday in October. That much I know. Maybe that has something to do with it. Anyway, it was on this day 11 years ago in 2014 that she released not 1999, but 1989 with singles like Style and Shake It Off and this. And I know it'll make me sound like, a dated reference here. Taylor Swift has had 500 albums put out already or something like that. But the two singles off this one, Blank Space and Style, I would still say are my two favorite Taylor Swift songs.
I don't remember Style. Am I nuts?
No, cue it up. You'll know. You'll know it as soon as you hear it. You just don't know it by the title that well. So she hasn't put out that many albums. You know who's put out a lot of albums? The people behind Now That's What I Call Music. And it was on this day that the very first Now That's What I Call Music compilation CD was released with 17 different hits, from Hanson's Bop to the Spice Girls' Say You'll Be There. The first 29 of these all went platinum.
Really?
Now That's What I Call Music Volume 90 was released in May of last year, and that was the last one in the States. 90 editions. Now in the UK, they're still putting out these CDs. Now That's What I Call Music 122 is coming out on November 14th in just a couple of weeks. You didn't have any of them?
I think we did. I don't really remember them very well, but we definitely did.
Compilation CDs were really great, as Tony notes on YouTube, because they were amazing. Don't forget Jock Jams. Tony, we could never forget Jock Jams. I mean, come on. Let's see. Let's go to the National Day Calendar and see what you got for us.
Yes, it is National Grandparents Week, so if you still got your grandparents.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I will take all of your accolades. You know what? I did absolutely nothing to make this happen. To become a grandparent, yeah.
Totally forgot that you're a grandparent for a second there.
Oh, see, now I'm flattered. That's great. I have a daughter with a birthday today. Again, I mentioned both my daughters had birthdays the last week of October, and I gotta tell you, to have daughters who are now in their mid-30s, one turns 35 this week, one turns 37. It's like, this is weird, because I still feel 36, and the math ain't working on that. But anyway, they have since made me grandparents, and I love them so much for it. And so, yes, happy Grandparents Week to all of us grandmamas and grandpapas. What else?
It's also American Beer Day, Pat.
American Beer Day. So apparently today, no Guinness for anybody, or Stella Artois, or any of those other foreign beers. Yeah, drink an American beer today. All right,
Yes.
noted.
Stick with your domestic.
Okay, what else we got?
We've also got National Black Cat Day. I think that kind of kicks off a week of Halloween.
Oh, sure,
things here.
That makes sense. Okay, all right.
It is National Mentoring Day. If you have a mentor that's close to you, I guess.
Yes, and I think that I don't know that. How do I say this? Thank a mentor. The thing with mentoring is a lot of people don't like consciously go into it. They just, enjoy teaching what they do. And I think if you actually went up to them and said, "Happy Mentoring Day" or "Happy Mentor Day," they'd be like, I'm just here teaching you stuff so you stop screwing up. That's all. But hey, I'll take the day if you want it. Let's see, from Roger on Facebook. We had K-Tel records back in the 70s and early 80s. Yes, Roger, very much so. And you know what? Now that I've talked about, now that's what I call music, having 90 album, or 90 CDs. It does make me wonder how many K-Tel records were ever made. And a quick check on Google says K-Tel released hundreds of compilation albums between 1968 to 1990. I still love seeing on social media, somebody will put up one of those old K-Tel record commercials where it's just clip after clip after clip after clip of songs. I mean, it is totally the soundtrack of my childhood. Tony asks, is Pat mentoring Parker enough to celebrate that too today? No, absolutely not. I am not teaching this young man any kind of useful life skills. Thank goodness he's getting a paycheck so he gets something out of this experience. Alicia says, hey, my mom has one kid in their 40s, almost another in his 40s, and a grandkid in their 20s. I know I got a grandkid who's 19. It feels really weird. And also for Alicia, what else is it today?
It is Navy Day.
Like the color or the U.S. Navy?
My understanding was the U.S. Navy, I believe.
Okay. Because I know we had the Naval Academy birthday like a week or two ago. So I don't know if there's something particular about Navy Day today, but hey, Navy Day, we will take it.
U.S. Navy Day.
All
I
right.
don't know why this is different from the other one, but you know what? Hey, it's a big branch of the military, so it gets 2 days.
It's a big calendar. There's room for everybody. Sometimes for you to get a couple of different ones, and that's just totally fine. All right, so there you go. And then of course you've got Halloween week. People getting all set for that over in the Up North News Daily newsletter. We've got at least one more photo of people putting up their Halloween decorations, because again, some of these decorations are getting insanely detailed, and I mean large, like not just the 11-foot skeletons, but all the big inflatables and everything else that goes on with it. I just hope all the trick-or-treaters stay safe with all that stuff laying around on the yard there. Anyway, you can send in your photos to us, radio@upnorthnewswi.com, or put it in the comment sections of YouTube or Facebook rather, and we'll get it that way, or send it as a text message using the Civic Media app. And we'd love to tell people, where you are and what it is that you put up in your house that made everything so special. Coming up in our next hour, we will hear from Lucy Ripp at A Better Wisconsin Together about anti-choice candidates already filling the ballot for 2026. I'm Pat Kreitlow from Up North News. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. 39 degrees here in the Chippewa Valley right now. It is 6:52, and let's bring in Up North News reporter Selena Heller and the cat. Whiskers is right there.
Always a cat.
Camera hog.
Yes.
we had a question Sherry and I did, Selena, about some Halloween photos that you put up of Emery looking wonderful as Wednesday Addams and you as Morticia, I assume.
Uh-huh.
And then there's cousin It that appears to be a mop with sunglasses and a top hat. And
yes.
We wondered, was that Whisker's way of getting into the photos, or was Whiskers not in costume?
Emery said that Whiskers is going to be a minion this year. He has a minion costume. He has a whole drawer of costumes.
Okay.
So yes, we
A
have
whole drawer of costumes.
Yes.
That is one
And
patient
then
cat.
she has Thing on her shoulder also.
Yes.
First I was going to be Cousin It, and then so I made this costume I have, and then I put it on, and it was the school dance on Friday. It's elementary school, so so she said, "Mom, that's weird." Just that's weird.
You as Cousin It was weird. Okay, all right.
Because my face is covered, I have sunglasses, and it's But I said, "But it's funny though. It's funny." And she said she was very logical and said, "Well, what would you feel more comfortable in?" Because I said, "Well, we could do Morticia," and then she said, "What would you feel more comfortable in, Mom?"
Well, that's nice of you. You put that up for a vote like that. Her to dictate your costume.
Yeah.
Anyway, that all turned out great for the school dance there, and not too many of the kids were wigged out by Thing on her shoulder there, a severed human hand.
The DJ kept saying Wednesday with Thing, and so she was being kind of. There were other Wednesdays along with K-pop Demon Hunter characters, but there are other Wednesdays, but she was the only one with Thing on her shoulder, so that was cool.
Okay. All right, so you had the school dance already, so will Friday just be like just straight trick-or-treating then?
Yep, trick-or-treating around the neighborhood.
I assume it will be Friday. That's the other thing I'm still getting used to it in my advanced age, is that, I mean, for us, it was Halloween started at like, as soon as you could after school almost, and went well past dark. And now it's like every community has these community hours, and you will only trick or treat by these hours. And
yep. And whoever has their light on, then that's how you know.
And out here in more of a rural area, it's like people show up when they show up. And some years it's like 8, and some years it's 3. We don't normally get overrun with trick-or-treaters out here, compared to in the city. What will you be handing out this year for candy?
Well, we'll be out and about. So sometimes I leave a bucket out on the driveway, but nobody really sees it that well. So I don't.
Some more candy for you.
Yeah. Basically.
You mentioned Minions. Is it just me, or yesterday did the Pittsburgh Steelers look like Minion prison inmates?
Pantless. They look
and
like
pantless. Good. You caught that as well. Yes.
Oh, that was terrible.
Some of our friends watching the game, I mean, you had the bumblebee yellow jerseys with the really weird black stripes, which was some kind of a throwback to an original Pittsburgh Pirates uniform.
1933. Yeah.
33. But pants were equally yellow. They were flesh colored.
Oh, they were terrible. They should have put a stripe on them or something so you could differentiate that's not their skin.
Anything would have worked out well. Did you stay up for the whole game?
Yes. Yeah. I watched the whole thing.
It really is just me, isn't it? Am I the only person in Wisconsin that went to bed early? Probably. I could see it. Yes, Tony says on YouTube, Pittsburgh has the worst throwback jerseys. Yeah.
Why would they do that?
I don't know, especially on a national TV game like that,
and a big one too, with Rodgers playing the Packers.
Right. And look, the whole point of this, is it to honor some team from the past? No, it is not. No. It's about marketing. It's about merchandising. Who's buying these? Who's buying those? I have plenty of people who have bought throwback Packer uniforms, even the blue ones, which seem a little weird because you're used to green and gold. But I've seen people in the blue throwback uniforms purchase those, but nobody's buying that Pittsburgh one.
They put Rodgers. Oh, sorry. With a picture of Charlie Brown too, that he looked like Charlie Brown.
Oh, Charlie Brown. Oh, I like that very much. That's great. Coming up after the news, we're going to be talking to Selena more about a report that she is running on the Up North News social media channels here about the cuts to SNAP and to Medicaid, and making healthcare more expensive. And I mean, this is just one woman we're going to hear from, Selena, but you've talked to several, again, just to make the point. Again, we'll get into details after the news, but I mean, you're talking to people who are experiencing real pain or real angst about the pain that's coming, right?
Oh my goodness. It's really kind of a challenge to us just talk to people these days and hear their stories and how hard it is for all of them, and looking towards the future, what it's going to be like.
Yeah. So stick around for that report coming up. And of course, you can find it on our social media channels as well. And then less than an hour from now, we will be talking to Jimmy Kuska, Civic Media's sports director, more about the game, the Packer game that had a Packer victory over the Steelers, 35-25. Not a great outcome for the Badger football team, although fans in Oregon are basically thinking of it as a loss, the way that, they had to work hard to defeat the Wisconsin Badgers over the weekend. So we'll talk a bit about that. There's also some Badger men's basketball that will be on the radio this week as the Badgers take on Platteville in one more exhibition game before they get the regular season started. And of course, the Bucs season is underway, and they lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers last night, 118-113. Now, coming up after we hear from Selena in our next hour at 7:35, we will be talking to Lucy Ripp from A Better Wisconsin Together about candidates on the ballot already for 2026 who have shown their hostility toward women's basic reproductive health care rights. We've got all that and more ahead. You can continue listening on the radio. If you got to go away, just dial us up on the app. Get that Civic Media app, download us, take us along live wherever you go. Hey, good morning. It is 7:06. Nice to have you back up north on a Monday morning, last week of October 27th. 2025. Parker Olson producing things in Madison Studio A2. Selena Heller standing by in Eau Claire. Dr. Kristen Lyerly is AWOL, says that she cheered too much in Pittsburgh and has no voice left. Apparently a voice is a feature that's required for radio. So we'll tell her to rest up, and we'll hopefully visit with her again coming up on Friday morning. Selena still has a voice. Parker still has a voice. I'm sure they were both yelling and cheering with their TV during the second half of the game yesterday. The one where the guy who gets up super early decided not to watch the second half. I was so demoralized by our kicker missing 2 field goals. That I thought the stage was set for a not fun second half. So I'll be the first to admit I gave up too early.
Wow.
But Parker, you understand where I'm coming from though.
I do. I fully understand where you're coming from. I just wonder how did you feel when you woke up? I'd be really upset if I missed that.
Well, A, well rested, and B, again, this is not a case where in olden days, I would have put on my slippers and shuffled out to the door and grabbed the morning newspaper, and uncurled it and cursed the paper boy because it's a little bit wet from hitting the dew on the grass, and then realizing the paper was printed too early and didn't even have the results of last night's game. So I hope the guy on the radio stayed up to watch it to tell me about it. We're not in that age anymore. I can get up at 4. I can take a look at my phone. I can see all the highlights. The first thing I notice is, oh, well, that would have been fun to watch live. But guess what? I have the clips right here. Watch the clips. It was fun. I still get to talk about it and sound bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
Perfect. That works too.
At least as close as I get to it. So for the few of you out there that are going, Pat, get to the point, because I too went to bed early. The Packers beat the Steelers 35-25. Jordan Love went 29 of 35, including a franchise record tying 20 straight completed passes at one point. The guy I think is the key to all of this, tight end Tucker Kraft, caught 7 passes for a career high 143 yards, 2 touchdowns. Christian Watson is back, 4 catches for 85 yards. Josh Jacobs, a 3-yard scoring sprint in the first play of the fourth quarter, put the Packers up for good. And so the Packers are 5-1-1. And the funny thing is, everybody looks at that tie like, oh, ick, we got a tie. It might as well be a loss. That tie is keeping us ahead of a lot of other teams right now.
It is.
So I will. Yeah. I'll take that. So
and Aaron Rodgers needed to beat the Packers to beat every team in the NFL, and he did not. So he still has not.
Still has not. Robin Tigerton says the Steelers jerseys looked like highway warning signs.
The arrows, yes.
He says, good morning from Tigerton. Clear skies, light fog, 31 degrees. I had to ride yesterday or Saturday in the Clintonville area, took pictures of the remaining fall colors. mostly along Main Street in Clintonville, and he's got some leaves to mow up today. Speaking of temperatures, by the way, let's get those 7 o'clock temperatures. It's 39 here in Chippewa Falls, 39 in La Crosse. Rapids is at 37. There's some real differences in short distances on the map here. Fond du Lac is at 45. I'm sorry, Fond du Lac is at 32, but Oshkosh is 45. Eagle River is 27, but over in Manitowish waters, it's 37 right now. Hayward's at 41 degrees as well. So in talking about the fall colors, I'm going to risk sounding like an old man complaining. And I don't mean that. I just mean we were noticing yesterday, we didn't really get, it wasn't our best fall color year here around here. Now, I don't know where the peak is right now, and maybe they are spectacular. I've seen a few nice areas with a lot of rust mixed in with the yellow, but we did a lot of green to yellow to brown really quick around here. Selena, did you notice that in Eau Claire as well?
No, right across the street. Every time we pull from the driveway, we have these bright red trees just right across the street, and those are so pretty. And at school, when we pull up to school, it's this yellow, really bright, really pretty tree. So we still
good.
see they're beautiful, actually, right across the street right now. Maybe if you want to swing over, you can check these out.
Maybe I'll have to do that. Let's see. Alicia says my maple trees are always the last to shed their leaves. Always cutting the leaf pickup close. Oh yeah, because some places have the leaf pickup. Parker, I don't know what you have here. Do the buildings change color in the fall? Do you guys get trees? Do you get to see some things down there?
Yeah. They changed the colors of the lights shining on the Overture Center. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, you've got two lovely lakes around there, and it too can be a very beautiful place to spend some time. But the fall colors just felt a little muted up here this time around. Not bad. Again, not bad. Just I'm looking at the leaves or looking at the trees, going, you didn't quite live up to your full potential this time.
It just fast.
Maybe it went fast. Yes, maybe so. All right. Well,
it goes so fast because then they turn and then there's a big wind and then they're gone.
And then they just go whomp. And okay, well, missed that show. All right. So Selena's got a story that you can follow over on the Up North News social media sites. Her stories are on Facebook and TikTok and Instagram. And one of your stories recently is about the looming cuts that are out there to families in several different ways. We've talked about the $1 trillion in Medicaid cuts that are coming. Certainly nutrition assistance programs, SNAP funding is going to be running out here in the next, couple of weeks. It sounds like potentially here in Wisconsin. And then of course, the issue that's at the heart of all of this is the way that health insurance premiums are going to skyrocket for families because of enhanced tax credits that are expiring. And again, they are expiring. They were planned to expire, but there's a plan out there that would say, let's extend these, the same way that Republicans got to extend the corporate tax cuts under Donald Trump. So they got a little something. Maybe families could get a little something like continuing these enhanced tax credits to keep health insurance from getting so expensive. And Selena, you talk to people for whom, when these health insurance costs and other things start to add up, I mean, this isn't some political game. It's really going to hurt them.
Yeah, it's real families, and it's the reality for so many people across Wisconsin when these subsidies run out at the end of the year. And so this is a retired artist. She's from La Crosse, Kate Bausch, and she got emotional because this is her reality. This is for her and her husband. Her husband is a retired teacher of 38 years. And so they planned their retirements on using these subsidies just for a short time, but that's what they were relying on. And
all right, let's give a listen to Selena's story with Kate Bausch.
The uncertainty, I can't tell you, unbearable it's been to not know if we're going to have health care next year or what it's going to cost.
In La Crosse, Kate Bausch and her husband are retired, but 2 years shy of qualifying for Medicare. So using the Affordable Care Act marketplace for their health care is a must for them. It's not free.
We pay $476. I think some people think if you're on the ACA that it's free, and it's not. I mean, we still pay and we're happy to pay.
Their monthly premium is set to skyrocket, though, as Republicans in D.C. appear willing to let the tax credits that make ACA coverage more affordable expire. Kate says the uncertainty of what will happen with these subsidies is enough to put anyone on edge.
We started checking around because if the credits were going to expire, we needed to be covered, and we like to be prepared. So we were quoted upwards of $2,400 a month through a retirement for the state retirement workers. And we can't afford $2,400 a month. If these credits expire, I'm not sure what we will do.
Unless Republicans join Wisconsin Senator Tammy Baldwin and her Democratic colleagues in supporting an extension, the tax credits will expire at the end of the year. And that means out-of-pocket premiums for ACA Marketplace enrollees could go up 75%, according to the research group Kaiser Family Foundation.
This tax break, called the Enhanced Premium Tax Credit, saves more than 230,000 Wisconsinites an average of $500 every single month.
We both have to be on medicine. It's not just doctor visits and that kind of thing. I have asthma. My husband does too. Our inhalers are $500 a month. We're just not sure what we'll do.
Senator Baldwin says if tax credits for the wealthy and corporations can be included in the budget, there's certainly legroom for extending tax credits for conscientious families.
We're looking at obviously no Christmas presents that we'll be shopping for this year or next year, probably. We were hoping to take some trips just around the state. We live pretty simply. I'm really sorry. I didn't expect to cry, but it's real.
And I guess that's the point, Selena, we keep trying to make. This is real. This is what people were hoping would be extended because, again, in the 10 plus years that the Affordable Care Act has been around, it has worked compared to the old system, but has always needed to be modified and improved upon. And by not having these premium tax credits renewed, you're taking a step backward to those old days. And you and I both covered so many stories about people who paid their premiums and the health insurance company just denied them. So I mean, right now the story is about premiums going up, but what it also means is people either go without insurance or insurance companies are just saying, nope, we're not going to cover you anymore.
Right. And then, okay, they don't get insurance, and then there's more problems, and then they don't have the health care they need. And I was just so I'll have this coming up too. I was with a farmer in Pierce County, and he said, it'll be like, if I bleed, then I'll go to the doctor, but otherwise probably not if I don't have health insurance. So we were in his combine chatting at that time as he was combining soybeans. And as of course, there's so many issues for farmers right now. So we're going to hear from him coming up another time too. So
talking not only about health insurance, but also about the soybeans that he's harvesting right there with you, and whether there's going to be a market for them or place to store them or anything like that.
Right. He said, we're sitting here in my combine, we're combining this field, and I'm losing money. This is what I work for all year. Yeah. And I lost money, it's a hard time.
And then on top of that, for any that were, raising cattle as well and expecting, something to go to the American beef market, you now have Argentine beef that's coming in. There's just something all throughout rural Wisconsin for people to look at and say, this is harder than we were expecting to be at this point. And like you said, you're talking to somebody they're combining 2 or 3 of these issues all into one. These are not easy times.
Right. And he said, if we get a bailout, the bailout is just going to be, I just have to pay off my fertilizer, and it's for those companies. It doesn't do anything to help me. I'm so far behind. It really doesn't do anything.
No, it goes right to those companies where fertilizer costs have been jacked up again because of Trump's trade war with Canada. For all these stories that Selena Heller works on, check out our social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, search for Up North News WI and look for her stories there. Selena, thank you very much for the story. Happy Halloween week. We'll talk to you later.
All right. See you.
Okay. Again, look for Selena on social media there. And coming up later this week, another wrinkle in health insurance, and that's all the folks who have to choose new Medicare Advantage plans because there might have been changes along the way with their current plan. We will talk to Ingrid Cunninger, the Wisconsin Senior Medicare Patrol Program Director, about that coming up Thursday. You're going to want to listen if you fit into that category of needing a new Medicare Advantage plan. From the heart of America's up north, live from Lake Wissota, thanks for making this the place to spend part of your Monday mornings. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Back now at 7:22 on this Monday. Pat Kreitlow up here in Chippewa Falls. Parker Olson producing things down in Madison. And, of course, we've discussed already the Packers beating the Pittsburgh Steelers last night. And the Badger football team, they did not win their game over the weekend. But, hey, the scores are getting closer every time. Yeah. I mean, first it was, 37-0. Then it was 34-0, right? And this time to lose to the number 6 team in the country, Oregon, by 21-7. Moral victory.
Yeah.
Because it also meant that the Badgers would not go scoreless in 3 straight games, which would have been a problem. And somebody calculated all the time on that. Let's see, what did it come down to?
Roger. Here we go.
182 minutes and 47 seconds. Thank you, Roger, for tracking the Badger football team scoring drought. So
lovely. Just lovely.
Packers now 2-6 on the season, 0-5 in the Big Ten. Luke Fickell, though, loved getting the scoring drought out of the way. His quote was, "Everything matters." That's what I say to the guys in there. Everything matters. The last 2 plays of the game, they matter. Scoring points, it matters. You're not going to win football games if you score 7 points, probably, but you've got to score 7 before you can score 10, and you've got to score 10 before you can score 14. Can't argue with that. I mean, I don't know what math classes they have down there in Madison, but I cannot argue with that. And he says, at some point in time, we've got to figure out how to string these things together and get better. Yes, you do. Yeah. Yep.
It's really disappointing because the Badgers really have had chances at beating Oregon 2 years in a row now.
Yeah, they have.
Just cannot do it.
Can't quite seal the deal. So they will host Washington at Camp Randall this coming Saturday, but I don't believe that they have assigned a start time yet to that, which again, we live in that flex schedule era where, your tickets used to get printed with times on there. Well, first off, they don't print tickets anymore. And the times are relevant. You'll go when we say that you go. So we'll watch for a kickoff time on the Badgers taking on Washington next Saturday. In the meantime, the group Opportunity Wisconsin is starting a new Don't Leave Wisconsinites Out in the Cold coat drive in support of local business, or in partnership with local businesses, saying that as families struggle with the rising costs from tariffs and Republican-backed cuts to energy assistance and healthcare and SNAP, organizers are collecting coats at various locations across the state. From Friday through Christmas, anyone who brings in a gently used coat to participating locations will receive a voucher that can be redeemed at some of the participating businesses. That includes in Eau Claire Outdoors on Barstow Street. In Kenosha, it would be Public Brewing Company. And in Mount Pleasant, La Taquiza Restaurant is taking part in it. And again, this is all through Opportunity Wisconsin. You can learn more at opportunitywisconsin.org. In our Sunday morning newsletter through Up North News, sign up at upnorthnewswi.com, we have our regular question of the week. And I really had no idea how the question was going to go that we put up yesterday morning. And I have been somewhat surprised to see that we might end up with, I don't know that we've ever had a true 50-50 question yet, but we're really close in the responses so far. And it deals with whether there should be a new nuclear power plant built in the Kewanee area. There had been one there that has since been decommissioned, but there's interest in bringing a nuclear power plant, a new one, back to Wisconsin, generating electricity using nuclear power, which does not generate fossil fuels directly, so does not contribute to harming the climate directly. And for plenty of people, that is a real positive. And for plenty of other people who see the potential for things to go sideways with nuclear power because of accidents of one type or another, this is just a no-go. It's a non-starter for them. So the way we asked it is, do you think that if done under strict safeguards, you would support a new nuclear power plant in Wisconsin, or no safeguard is worth the risk of another 3 Mile Island or Fukushima or Chernobyl, not to mention another new batch of nuclear waste? And like I said, there's been quite a mix of answers here. I really don't think it breaks down by party. In this case, it really does come down to personal preferences and feelings about nuclear power. Mary here, for example, says A, yes, we hopefully learn from each disaster what to do and how to safeguard future use. Another one says from Rick says no to this project. Safety issues aside, over the decades, nuclear has proven to be too expensive to build and too expensive to operate. And so there's one who says no. Another says yes, as long as there are appropriate safety measures in place. Another from Linda here says no nuclear plants, please. Solar and wind are safer and more reliable. To which others would say, well, yeah, you need solar and wind and nuclear. You need a whole range of energy options moving into the future. So again, the folks who get our Sunday morning newsletter get the first crack at the answers and sending in their responses. Let's see, from Tony up on Ashland and YouTube in Northwest Ohio, there is a nuclear plant. I do remember at least one time there was a crack somewhere that scared people. Lots of places have iodine tablets as a precaution too. Yeah, these are all things that people have to think about and decide whether to make nuclear energy as part of the mix. So again, head over to upnorthnewswi.com and sign up there for our newsletter, and you can respond to our question of the week. Of course, you can also put something like Tony just did in the comment section of YouTube or Facebook, or you can even email us the old-fashioned way, radio@upnorthnewswi.com, or use the Civic Media app to text us or call into the show. We've got a guest coming up, Lucy Ripp from A Better Wisconsin Together, who's going to talk about candidates who are opposed to women's basic health care rights, already announcing to be on the ballot for 2026. And again, your feedback, if you'd like to add it by phone, by text, by comment, all coming up. I'm Pat Kreitlow from Up North News, and this is the Civic News. The progressive group A Better Wisconsin Together is all about research and stories from real people and empowerment. And their latest research includes the glaring omissions in the attendance record of one member of the Wisconsin State Assembly. We recently talked to Communications Director Lucy Ripp about that. First, we spent some time talking about the first wave of candidates for 2026. Now, whether it's public polling or election results, it is clear that most people in Wisconsin believe that women should have the right to make their own decisions about their bodies. And politicians should stop trying to put themselves into exam rooms alongside women and their doctors. And yet, there are plenty of conservatives who are already running with a clear record that is out of the mainstream of Wisconsin values on that subject, whether it's for state attorney general, state Supreme Court, or for governor. And we cover all three races when I talked to Lucy Ripp first about gubernatorial candidate and GOP Congressman Tom Tiffany.
Yeah, it very much seemed that he knows that the way he has voted on abortion in the past and endorsements he's gotten and things like that go directly against what the majority of Wisconsinites believe, which is that we want safe and legal abortion access across the state. We don't believe that politicians should be anywhere near that decision. And he has a really long record of going against that. And so it was very clear that he wanted to hide that.
Yeah. And so when he was, kind of conveniently removed that information from a personal website, that got noticed by the media and by you folks as well. Then there's the recent announcement here that Eric Toney is getting into the race for Attorney General. He lost to Josh Call last time around, and he has announced another run. And it appears that his positions really haven't changed that much since the last time he ran.
No, it doesn't appear that they have. And the last time he ran, as we've said on our website, Wisconsinites overwhelmingly rejected him. I mean, he is another one of those Republicans who just has very extreme views on abortion that don't align with how Wisconsinites feel. I mean, in previous elections, he's gotten endorsements from some of the most radical anti-abortion groups in Wisconsin. He indicated last time around that he ran that he would try to impose an almost total abortion ban, and an abortion ban that also threatens doctors and nurses with criminal penalties for providing that care. And so he's so extreme about putting politicians like himself in charge of these decisions that he's also advocated for being able to exceed his authority as a local district attorney and cross county lines to impose his beliefs on people who didn't even elect him.
Interestingly, he also, in his announcement, focused on some of the usual boogeymen. There was, of course, undocumented immigrants. There was, problems in Milwaukee. It's always convenient to, blame Milwaukee there. And the thing that we've been watching here up north is that here he is the named special prosecutor in the case of Wausau Mayor Doug Denny, removing an absentee ballot drop box, which seemed rather curious given that this is a guy, Eric Toney, who himself has said he believed absentee ballot drop boxes should be illegal and he wanted the state Supreme Court to outlaw them. So I guess we already know where he stands on voting convenience if he's going to run for attorney general again.
Yeah, it's very clear he's not only trying to, police what happens in our exam rooms, but he's also trying to take away ways of voting for the people of Wisconsin.
Yeah. You're also following the appeals court judge, Maria Lazar, who is hoping to run for state Supreme Court next year, would quite likely face fellow appeals court judge and former legislator Chris Taylor. But Maria Lazar, again, as we've said, based on her past endorsements and some of her statements, it's also quite clear where she stands on women's reproductive health care rights.
She was caught saying on camera that she thinks the Supreme Court's decision that overturned Roe v. Wade was, quote, very wise. And she also indicated that when the Wisconsin Supreme Court earlier this year struck down an 1800s law that Republicans were trying to use as an abortion ban, she said she doesn't know that she would have agreed with them on that. So she's making it very clear early on that she is anti-abortion rights in Wisconsin.
We've been talking a lot about whether Republicans in Madison or Washington, D.C. Want to show up for work. Now, whether they have shown up for work, whether they want to. And it's been tough enough for them just given the current conditions. But it seems to have been even more of a problem for one particular Wisconsin legislator. And you happen to notice at A Better Wisconsin Together a lot of absences from State Representative Shannon Zimmerman from over in the River Falls, Western Wisconsin area. As you were looking at the record, what is it that you felt like his constituents need to know?
Yeah, so with Representative Shannon Zimmerman, as you said, he represents Assembly District 30, which includes areas like River Falls and Hudson and more. And we noticed that on a lot of the floor session days this year, he was just completely absent. He wasn't there. And so we counted it up and we noticed that he has been absent from nearly half of all of the Assembly's floor sessions this year. I think that includes March 18th, March 20th, June 18th, September 11th. And so I think what the people in his district need to know is that they elected him to do a job, right? And that job is to represent them in our state legislature and make sure that their voices are heard on the issues that are going to impact their lives, on the issues that matter to them. And right now, it seems like he's not doing that.
Well, certainly not giving it his full attention. And let's be clear, because a lot of people, don't know the employment status of legislators. They are paid a full-time salary, which is not. Wisconsin's now in the minority of states that pay a full-time salary and expect that you are working throughout the course of the year as a state legislator. They may have other jobs, but it's pretty clear when you run for office that this is supposed to be a full-time gig, right?
Right. Yes. And, probably, Pat, that sometimes you just can't be there 7 days a week. You miss a day or two here or there for a family emergency, childcare, sick day, whatever it may be. But I think what's concerning here is just the rate at which he isn't showing up.
Well, because he also has other, alternatives. I mean, there has been discussion before about, he's got a Florida vacation rental business that might be keeping him busy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even I believe this was back in 2017. He didn't even show up to vote on the state budget, which is one of the most important pieces of legislation that gets passed in Wisconsin. And when you look at why wasn't he there, it's because he was in an Amsterdam airport. So, the biggest thing the legislature does, and he wasn't there to vote on it because he was in Europe.
And again, that is, like you said, that's something that can happen here and there. It happens to people. It's just that there've been so many of these that, for somebody who, for, his first few years in office, it was questionable whether he even lived in the district or just outside of the district. It brings some extra attention to a district and constituents who want to know that, he's there for them or that he isn't. And there were some pretty key votes that he missed on those dates in March and June and September that y'all looked up. What are some of the things that he missed votes on? Some bills that really address the needs that face Wisconsinites?
Yeah, so notably on some of the days that he didn't bother to show up, he avoided voting on a lot of different bills. I think we tallied it up and it was around 85, but some of them that he avoided voting on by not showing up were bills that would have given wage increases to UW system employees. And he has at least one UW system school in his district. He avoided voting on a bill that would have helped build a mental health facility in the Chippewa Valley. And so he also left them without a voice on that one either.
So A Better Wisconsin Together is watching all of these things. You can check out their website and the whole team over there, including Lucy Ripp, following all kinds of issues and candidates. Lucy, we really appreciate the perspective you bring to this, and thanks for joining us for a few minutes today.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Pat.
Yeah, again, A Better Wisconsin Together, they do research by and large. That's where they got their start. In fair disclosure, I served for a brief time on the board of directors many years ago from A Better Wisconsin Together, when they engaged in all kinds of research about what certain bills would do, or in this case, who did or didn't vote on bills, or the things that they've said, sometimes the things they've said when they think nobody is listening. But they've also kind of expanded now into capturing the stories of folks around Wisconsin and the way that they're impacted by the things that politicians do, especially politicians who may not be acting in line with mainstream Wisconsin values. So over at abetterwisconsin.org, you can scroll down a bit and get to their storytellers and video archive. And you might even see some familiar faces, or you might hear some stories that you feel are worth sharing in your own social media feeds. Some of the posts that you may see over at the A Better Wisconsin Together website. It's just about 7:46 right now, and I wanted to read a post from somebody about some of these cuts that are happening to SNAP benefits and others. And this particular post was written by somebody named Stacy Patton, a journalist and writer, a college professor, teaches journalism at Howard University in Washington, D.C., and has been doing a lot more writing on social media lately, because she's been one of those folks who were targeted by the far right for the way that she reacted to the murder of conservative provocateur Charlie Kirk. And again, you don't have to like what people say about things, and you can criticize what they say about things, but those things have, shall we say, crossed a line in many cases where people have lost their jobs, or they have faced threats. And frankly, Stacy Patton is one of those who has been getting weeks of abuse, primarily by a bunch of white guys filling her email inbox with racial slurs and things like that. And Howard University has offered her, extra security as well, but she's not really having any of it. She's basically punching back. And one of her posts caught my eye over the weekend about the looming cuts to SNAP benefits. And so I just wanted to read part of that from Stacy Patton and Howard University, where she writes the following. I'm sick of seeing comments saying that people on SNAP should, quote, just get a job. The reports I see show that over half of working age, non-disabled adults on SNAP were working in a given month. And about 74% worked in the year before or after that month. And a good number of them are college students juggling classes and rent and part-time jobs while trying to keep food on the table. This country doesn't have a laziness problem. It has a wage problem, a greed problem, a you shouldn't have to starve to prove your worth problem. People who make the get a job comment are insecure. They need to believe poverty is a moral failure because the alternative is that they'd have to reckon with the fact that this particular system of the economy is rigged and that their comfort is built on exploitation. That terrifies them, so they invent a hierarchy where they're the hardworking and everyone else is lazy, even if the data proves them wrong. They're not really defending the work ethic. They're defending a fantasy where their own mediocrity still feels well earned. And many of these hateful folks crying, get a job, are themselves often just one layoff, one illness, one bad month away from the same line at the social services office. And I've seen plenty of that myself as well. We will be talking to somebody who started their own small business after a journey from Mexico to Wisconsin. All right, welcome back. It is 7:52 right now on a Monday morning. 855-75-CIVIC is the number, 855-752-4842. You can also call us from the Civic Media app. You can text us on the Civic Media app. You can leave us a voice note on the Civic Media app where you can just say to us whatever's on your mind. If it's clean, we might put it on the radio. But again, so many ways to get in touch with the program and maybe, just maybe, give your take on something like, the Packers beating the Steelers last night, even if it's to rub in that the host managed to go to bed earlier. Just as I put Parker on camera, of course, here on social media, big yawn that he's letting out. So,
was a real yawn. That was not for the bit. That was a real yawn.
It was a very real yawn. It was great timing. It's like the way the waiter comes up just when you got a mouthful of food and goes, how's everything? And so there was the big yawn from somebody that stayed up. But again, it looked good. And, in terms of a recap, again, there's many moments you can point to with Aaron Rodgers, taking him on for the first time, on the opposing team. I am just happy to see that Christian Watson is back and did not right away, blow a tire and, have his leg fall off or anything like that. I thought that was a win. I think that they're going to tight end Tucker Kraft more, which I thought was going to be a real key to this. I was pretty surprised how very little yardage Josh Jacobs gained. I think, what was it? Only like 33 yards total. But one of them included a 3-yard touchdown run in the fourth quarter. So, I mean, that was nice. But
no, he was fine. He was, I don't know if his vision wasn't quite there last night or what, but it felt like when Emmanuel Wilson was getting the ball, he was just flying through the line. There just might have been better blocks for him. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, Josh Jacobs kind of struggled a little bit. Which I think can happen at this point in the year when you're a running back. Like, those guys get banged up. Tucker Kraft, especially, I think. Tight ends especially can get banged up.
I'd like to know more about Jacobs' health because he's the one who, remember, a week ago or so was particularly under the weather and yet played out of his mind and talked about how, his best game prior to that was a time when he was really sick. So is the problem that he's healthy now, or has he finally, has gravity worked and it's like, no, when you're sick, you actually don't play at your best. However it was, again, we had plenty of other weapons this time around, not the least of which is Jordan Love, who, you would not have been surprised if he'd have gotten a little case of the yips or something, taking on Aaron Rodgers directly for the first time. But no, the guy had a monster game, 29 of 35, 20 straight completed passes in a row at one point, which encourages me because, I mean, I'm not going to lie. There have been a few times during the season where I've seen Love, just throw enough times off target. And I'm starting to wonder, is this going to click? Clearly, the answer is yes. Things are clicking with him and the receivers.
Yes, every now and then he'll do something that kind of scares you a little bit. He has cemented himself, I think, as a top probably 7 quarterback in the league, if not higher. Frankly, he's very good. And his seat or his floor does not seem to be very low. His like autopilot mode of just like not doing anything special is pretty fine, and that's kind of what you want in a quarterback.
Well, that's part of why I felt good turning the TV off at halftime, because the first half was just really boring, and just like the 2 or 3 games prior to that. And I thought, well, that's our theme this year, is we might grind out a win, but it's not going to be particularly sexy. Well, as it turns out, whole bunch of touchdowns in the second half that I missed that would have made it very exciting to watch, but that's okay. Again, 454 yards total offense. They just waited, till some of us, cashed out to say, okay, let's pour it on. And in part because they realized that their kicker there, Mr. McManus, didn't quite have it on those first 2 field goal attempts. Again, stressing attempts, not completions.
Yeah, I only blame him for one. The first one at distance, I don't care. He probably wasn't going to be able to kick that far anyway, coming off an injury. But yeah, the second one,
I guess. But I mean, the Steelers kicker had just drilled one from 56, and so the next series he's trying to kick one from 57. Yeah, and of course it falls just short, and you're like, oh, just that 1 more yard, which, like you said, is not on him. The offense should have advanced the ball a little bit more, but that is the assignment. And we just had a substitute kicker who drilled one from, what was the record, 61 that he hit it from?
I thought it was 63. It might have been.
Could have been 63. So we know it can be done. It just didn't get done for Mr. McManus as he continues to recover. Now, the Packers are going to do something next weekend that is quite unusual. It used to be a regular feature of Packer games, but this coming Sunday will be something you don't normally see. The game is on Sunday at noon.
What?
I know. It's like we're mortals, no prime time game, no national game at 3:25, not Sunday night, not Thursday night, just a plain old noon Sunday football game. I hope people remember what to do when it just happens, when normal football games happen. And that one I will watch and I will stay up for, I think. So
unless you have to go out to lunch or dinner.
I was going to say there could be that. That is always a problem with having family that includes, another state. I mean, a couple times this season already, my family's wanted to do something. I was in the Twin Cities this past weekend, and they're like, "Oh, you want to hang around for this?" Like, no, got to get back. We have a football team that wins. You got to understand that. So. And they meanwhile, they are like bent over in their Vikings jerseys, just hunched over. And somebody came up with a term for that when they're hunched over after being defeated yet again. Because they're always chanting skull. So they call it scoliosis. Is that look for Vikings fans? I like it. It was a funny cartoon. We will be talking a lot more in the 8 o'clock hour, starting with our Madison friends, John and Gordy in the big Madison studio. It's 8:06. Good morning. Nice to have you back here up north. It's a Monday morning, October 27th, 2025. And it is time, as we do each Monday morning at this time, to head down to Madison, not just to Studio A2, where Parker Olson is standing by, but Studio A1. We go to the big room
down the hall. The big studio.
Where John and Gordy are standing by, and John and Gordy, you can hear their show weekday mornings on our station 92.7 WMDX in Madison, or through the Civic Media app. Guys, how are you? Good morning.
Doing well. Happy Monday to you, Pat.
All right, now it's time. I'm good, thank you. Let's see if I get some vindication or not. Mm-hmm. Packer game. 7:20 p.m. start. You stayed up until the end of it. Yes or no?
No.
Thank you. I feel much better. Good night, everybody. That's it.
I made it to halftime and just a little bit beyond halftime.
Yeah, I made it past halftime as well, and I thought, well, that's it. It wasn't going well for the Packers at that point.
Thank you. Great. All right.
But here's
there are so many people raising a glass of Metamucil to us right now, going, "Good job, guys."
But here's the thing. The kicker. They brought the kicker back from injured.
Yes.
And then he misses twice.
Yeah.
That was just ridiculous. We had a guy who filled in for 2 weeks, didn't miss any at all, and set a Packer record.
Right.
Why are we changing the people in midstream like this? I think Pam Yonke, the farm babe, said that they had to pull this guy off injured reserve in order to keep him alive and well as part of the roster and the team, I believe. Anyway, that's what she said.
Yeah, there was some technical thing like that.
I will put it on McManus, but I will say, in being fair to whatever degree, those field conditions, that field was garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like on a beach with the little tufts of grass here and there. Here's one of the things you never see anymore.
Wow,
you never see NFL games being played in baseball stadiums, and when they get that space between like second and third base, they're playing in the infield dirt.
Right.
And it always looks weird, and it never happens anymore, thankfully. But the whole field looked like that. It just, what, again, that shouldn't matter to me, but they make a lot of money. I've seen the price of an NFL ticket. You could keep the grass, watered or something for what you're getting. But anyway,
they're thinking about raising prices too. I mean, that's
of course they are.
It's getting out of hand. Yeah, they want the wealthy to go to these games because they can make more money off.
If you want to make more money, here's what you do: you come up with these merchandise ideas, alternative uniforms, and then people will buy the alternative uniforms, the throwbacks, because they are so cool. Unless you are a Pittsburgh Steelers fan wondering why your team was dressed as minion prison inmates yesterday.
Yeah, those are the ugliest uniforms I've ever seen.
That's a good comparison.
Those were terrible, and not even matching pants, flesh-colored pants.
Yes,
a couple of different times I had friends going, "Are they wearing pants?
Are they wearing pants?" Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
All right,
They're like all Pooh Bear here.
When I tuned in, I thought they were the Packers at first.
Right.
I didn't know.
First glance. Yeah.
See?
Right.
See, Parker, it's not just me.
No, that's
there you go.
I had a problem with the uniforms too.
Yeah. So anyway, we've covered the uniforms and how we don't think they're going to be making some money off of those anyway.
No, I don't think so. No.
All right. Well, we come storming into Halloween week, and boy, if there's one place people love to be on Halloween, it is Madison. It is fun. It is raucous. It is really something, unless again you're of a certain age and then you turn your porch light off and you go to bed early. I don't know. Are you guys candy hander-outers? Are you party attenders? Especially with Halloween being on a Friday night. Does Halloween work for your social calendar?
Well,
it doesn't work on mine. My house is kind of set back, and no one walks up to our house. They're afraid to go up to our house.
Yeah, and I'm in an apartment complex now, so there's no trick-or-treaters around.
Yeah, they lock the lobby.
See, I grew up in a big apartment complex, and so you took a pillowcase, and it got pretty full. And of course, with that many kids, I mean, you had to buy that much candy to hand out, or you just didn't answer the door at some point. But I miss that. It's also why my dentist, drove a Lamborghini. I mean, there was a lot of work needed to be done there. And now, like you said, I'm in more of a rural area, and usually single digits number of trick-or-treaters that we end up handing out here. So
in Madison, Halloween on State Street used to be huge in the 60s and 70s and part of the 80s.
Yeah, we missed that. We wanted to bring back a John and Gordy State Street celebration again and bus people in from other states, because that's what killed it.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
It used to be jam-packed from the Capitol all the way to the campus.
And other states were busing people in for the celebration here. It became
got
that
out of
big.
hand. It got out of hand.
Oh, I did not know this. So it's not the big deal that it was, when going to college in the early 80s. Still, that was like the place you wanted to be, I guess.
Yeah,
but
it was.
Yeah.
Oh, I did
the mid 80s through the late 80s, really. And then, some windows got broken. Some people got hurt. And
well, people, they climbed the lampposts.
Yeah, that was the big
That
deal.
was the big problem.
Why?
Yeah.
They didn't win the Rose Bowl or the World Series or anything.
I don't
know.
What did they call
they
it?
did
Fright
that.
Fest or Freak Fest?
It was, Freak Fest. I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you know what? These college kids, they had a lot of time to come up with costumes, and they had some amazing, fantastic looking costumes down in State Street.
Yeah.
We miss those days.
It was
we
a
want
big
them back.
party. Yeah.
Do you guys have a favorite from whatever year in the past where you go, the best costume you ever wore was?
No, I'm
Well,
not big on costumes. John has all kinds of.
I'm not either. So, John, you're
his
going to have to
closet.
bail us out of this one.
Yeah.
Well, I know that there were a couple of students that came as breasts. So I remember that one.
All right.
Those were the days.
Yeah,
those
were the days.
Imagination. Let it
there is
run
that.
wild. Yeah.
I've got a neighbor who really takes the costumes seriously, and he always does such a great job year after year. He's got just kind of a gray scruffy beard, and so one year he went as the most interesting man in the world. From the beer commercials. Last year he dyed the beard and went as is it Rip from Yellowstone. And his wife dressed up as one of the Yellowstone characters. He also has a resemblance to Madden. He was the former manager of the Chicago Cubs. Blanking on his first name. And I'm always kind of jealous that there's people that really want to put themselves into it, whereas me, it's like I'll put a sheet over my head, cut a couple of holes. Oh, boo, I'm a ghost.
A couple of years ago, we came from Comic-Con in Chicago. We came back up here. We were still wearing our costumes, so we went down State Street at Halloween. And my wife was Black Widow from the Marvel comics, and I went as Doctor Strange.
Oh, nice.
And my son, he was Spider-Man.
Dead ringer for Spider-Man.
Yeah, he's a dead ringer for Spider-Man. He's like 6'4". He's walking around very thin, and everybody thought he was Spider-Man. Even the people who were a little stoned on the sidewalk were saying, "Hey, Spider-Man, help us!" And he didn't know how to take that. He said, "That guy is drunk, isn't he? I don't." And it's like, well, who cares? He's on the other side of the street. Don't worry about him.
Yeah, as long as he stays there.
But one of the heartwarming scenes, of course, was the kids on State Street. They loved seeing Spider-Man and they loved talking to Spider-Man and shaking his hand. And it was just so cool that my son got into that as well.
Well, it's good on Halloween. A little less so like if you're in Times Square on any random Wednesday, and there's like 4 different Spider-Man guys coming in looking for donations. We were once on a tour in Spain. I don't know if it was Madrid or where, and we have photos of ourselves with a morbidly obese Spider-Man. Don't know how he got into that costume, but he did all the poses and everything because that's how he made a buck. And then there's Tony, who fills up our comment sections on YouTube from up in Ashland. I don't know, is Dom able to put on your monitor there?
Yes,
Tony,
we see it up there.
Tony and his family.
Yeah, we see it right now.
His wife made the mystery machine out of a cardboard box,
that's
and
so
one of the kids is Scooby-Doo, and Tony appears to be Shaggy, and his wife appears to be Velma over there. And
I see.
I can't make out what the little ones are, but they're just adorable. When you go through the whole thing of actually making, using that cardboard box to make a mystery machine or other things that take much more labor than the generic, packet at the Spirit of Halloween store. I got to applaud that. I think that's great. Thank you, Tony, for sending that in.
Cool.
Well, we were thinking also that a lot of people might dress up as the East Wing of the White House being deconstructed.
I heard that.
If we could figure that out somehow. I don't know.
Well, there was basically you take a cardboard box, you kind of try to make it look like a White House, and then like a corner of it, you just tear it, mangle it, maybe singe it a little bit or something.
Rubble in there.
Just make it look terrible.
I want something tearing apart the walls. That's what I want on there.
A little
tractor of some sort.
Tractor thing.
Yeah.
It would work. We're talking to John and Gordy from our Civic Media station in Madison, 92.7 WMDX. You can hear them on the Civic Media app as well. John, you said you wanted to quiz me on something political or something.
I did.
Like that. All right.
Well, you were in the Senate, a state senator, and I want to ask you. Look, I want to reform. I want the Democrats to win the election in the midterms. And I think we're falling behind. We don't really think ahead too much. And I want to run these ideas by you as a former legislator. Okay. I think that because we're fighting so hard, we're holding up everything because we want to fight for the ACA premium discounts. Okay, that's what we want. We want the tax credits. But can't we also piggyback that with universal health care? Wouldn't it be a good idea if the Democrats got behind the idea of universal health care to piggyback onto the tax credits that we're fighting so hard to keep? Wouldn't that be something? And because people are seeing their premiums go up, they might just want to jump on board universal health care.
I will tell you something that as of last week, I was helping my mom pick out a new Medicare Advantage program because the old one is getting dumped. And so there's like 158,000 people in her who are in her plan to find new ones, which is not the same as the ACA. But in both cases, you're looking at these things, all of the hoops that you have to jump through.
Yeah.
There's no way to compare apples to apples. And you go, why? How are we still doing this after all this time instead of universal health care like they have figured out in every other developed country in the world? And yet we don't, because the Affordable Care Act was the compromise. That's how it got passed was, instead of a single payer or, a universal plan, to get, some Republican votes, it was, okay, we'll keep the private companies in there, but we'll have an individual mandate and everybody will get covered. And it still didn't get any Republican votes. They've never voted to make any improvements in it. So it's not as bad as it used to be, but it sure should be better. And frankly, yes, more Democrats ought to be running on universal health.
They should have had the public option in there and see how fast people run into the public option.
They would have, except for a guy named Joe Lieberman who threatened to sink the whole thing. So
just killed it.
Yeah. So thanks, Joe, wherever you are.
I have another question for you because you're a former legislator.
Well, let's take care of that after the break then. So I will answer John and Gordy's questions. I like this. I get to be the political analyst for once. That's coming up. I'm Pat Kreitlow. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. The Badger men's basketball team has one more preseason game before the regular season begins next week. So this Wednesday, they will be playing Platteville at the Kohl Center. Coverage begins Wednesday at 6:30 on Civic Media stations in Richland Center, Amory, Wisconsin Rapids, and Ripon. Head over to the Civic Media website, civicmedia.us, to learn more. We are visiting with our friends John and Gordy. You can hear them 6 to 8 on 92.7 WMDX in Madison or through the Civic Media app. And before we went to break, we were talking a bit about universal health care in a game we like to call John Tries to Stump the Former Legislator. John?
Well, I thought maybe you would disagree that maybe the Democrats shouldn't jump on board and start presenting something as big as universal health care in the discussion, trying to at least just keep the tax credits for the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare. Yeah. But I think because people will, just be freaked out by the high price of premiums that they'll say, maybe we should really consider that. And then we'll have some time to actually talk about it till next year. I mean, we'll have all that time to assure people they can keep their doctor. Every hospital will be their hospital. Every doctor will be their doctor. I mean, it really opens up. And by the way, then when you talk about the ACA tax credits, because they're going up as well, all the prices are going up. We're really putting a lot of taxpayer money into the program anyway. Right. Why not just convert to universal health care, put the money where it belongs, negotiate with the hospitals and negotiate the pharmaceutical prices and bring prices down for everybody. And all it is just a small sum of money out of each check, like Medicare and Social Security, that will boost this program for everybody. There will be no more debt, no more health debt in this country.
I think
back to you.
I I think that the way you get that, you start with that idea, and the way you get it across the finish line, because they'll go, well, why is it coming out of my check, or why is it coming out of my benefits? Is you point out that once again we went from a time where there was like one billionaire in this country to however many thousand billionaires there are now, because our tax system is so out of whack that if for once, and I'm not saying it has to be Elizabeth Warren's plan, but if you put in some kind of a wealth tax and you remind people that, instead of having $20 billion, by the time the wealth tax is done, a guy like John Menard or Dick Eline or Diana Hendricks, they'll have $19.9 billion.
Right.
But we can still pay for healthcare. That might be a help. And that's where I'll be the first to say that I was probably more of an incrementalist or a moderate in the legislature, but the years have somewhat radicalized me, I guess you could say, to the point where it's like, look, just go with where your values are, and instead of trying to catch up with public opinion, how about you work on moving public opinion toward you based on the merit of your arguments? And John, what you're outlining there, I think would sway a lot of people.
I agree. And, the Republicans have been doing this for years. They've been creating these weird scenarios that don't exist and leading their voters on with that. And they've jumped on board. Why don't we do the same thing, but with real things and real benefits to society?
Yeah,
at least in this country.
Alicia puts it well on YouTube. I know a group of people who went bold and it worked. The Republican Party, we need to stop cowering. And she's right. I mean, that party has just decided we're just going to go far right, not necessarily always being truthful with the voters, but we'll do that. And they have gone so far to the right that now they have opened up this opportunity. If Democrats are willing to be a bit more bold about how they would do things if they could get 60 votes, if there weren't a Joe Manchin or a Kirsten Sinema or something like that, because that is always the thing that, gums up the works, shall we say, is how things were going to go in Obama's term, and suddenly Manchin and Sinema were, and now it's John Fetterman from Pennsylvania, who's
isn't that outrageous?
It is. It's like every time you think you're making one step forward, you end up somebody gives you two steps backward, and that's kind of what we're faced at the moment here.
Now, I've got another question for you.
I'm ready for you.
This is a little thing that Scott Walker tried when he was governor. Before he became governor, he threatened James Doyle, the other governor, to not do things because he didn't want him to do those things. Scott Walker told Doyle, "Don't do this." Okay, and I thought, well, the balls. What is this guy talking about? He's not even governor yet, and he's telling the current governor what to do, what not to do.
Right.
And that made me kind of angry. So I'm thinking now, why don't we do this? We know that Trump has opened up the Arctic National Wildlife Refuge for oil drilling, right?
Right.
So why don't we, as Democrats, threaten anybody who sets up opening up the wildlife refuge? Why not threaten and say, well, you can set it up, but when we get in power, you're going to be kicked out. And that will stop anybody from exploring, setting anything up, putting rigs in.
Yeah. It absolutely will. I think that's a perfect thing to say is, y'all can make the capital investment, but we're warning you, we're putting you on notice that, you will have invested in, something that you're going to have to leave to, rot and rust, or whatever it does up there on the tundra. I like in another area, this is already happening with Trump tearing down part of the White House, and that's a different discussion. But this big beautiful ballroom is going to be put in its place. That people are already saying, and I love this. Whenever Democrats get back in office, promise you, don't care what they name it, it's going to be named the Barack Obama Ballroom.
Yes.
We talked about that this morning. That's a great name. Do that.
Yeah. It's like, okay, you can do whatever you want, but just remember that, this is American politics, and the pendulum swings both ways. And when the pendulum swings back, you're not going to destroy Alaska.
Joe Walsh wanted to take it all down bulldoze it. That's what he wanted to do.
Might be a little extreme, but
that's extreme. I would keep the ballroom, but definitely call it the Barack Obama ballroom.
Yeah. I love it. John and Gordy, you can hear them weekdays 6 to 8 on 92.7 WMDX in Madison or the Civic Media app. Thank you guys very much.
All right. Yep.
Thanks, Pat.
All
Have
right.
a great day.
You as well. Much more coming up ahead here. I'm Pat Kreitlow from Up North News. This is the Civic Media Radio Network. Welcome back. While Latinos across the United States worry about a government that is now hostile to their dreams or maybe even existence, certainly their residency here in the United States, there are still plenty of people who are carrying on with visions of creating their own American success story. That includes an Altoona woman whose journey from Mexico included the creation of a successful small business here in the Chippewa Valley. And she shared her story last week with a virtual summit for the Wisconsin Latino Chamber of Commerce. Carmen Solis started MKS Cleaning Services in Eau Claire, and she shares her advice to others making their own path through the free enterprise system, one that can still hold promise for new arrivals to our country. Here is some of our conversation from late last week. Tell us about how you came to start the company.
I had a job that was a normal 9 to 5, 8-hour job. And as a mom, having to drop off my kids at school, at daycare, it was sometimes challenging because sometimes I would have to leave work to go to an appointment or for something for school. And so at the time I worked at a cleaning job, and I decided that I wanted to have my own schedule and that I wanted to work for myself. And so at first I was a little scared, but at the same time, I was prepared to start working for myself. And that is something that I also enjoy doing, is cleaning.
Why did you decide to become a member of the Latino Chamber of Commerce?
I didn't know enough to guide my business at first, and I became aware of the chamber when they came out to Eau Claire last year. So how this helped me was with meeting different people, knowing how to get my first client, either my first house or my first location, commercial location. These have helped me overcome this fear of reaching out to people, and also learning how to make my own business cards or to make that outreach to potential clients. The chamber helps us have a firm purpose in what we're doing. It gives us more security and confidence in what we're doing as a person, as a business, and it helps us be able to share our businesses with others. And so not being afraid to talk to others, to network, this would be really important.
At the Eau Claire Virtual Business Summit, you will be sharing your business journey with aspiring entrepreneurs. What are you most excited to share at the summit?
So I'm excited to let them know that as a business owner, if I was able to do it, they can do it too. To also trust in God and to get closer to organizations like the Chamber of Commerce. So it's important because it gives us opportunities like this one to be able to connect to different organizations, communities in Wisconsin, and also to motivate those entrepreneurs that if they have a dream, to not give up, even when times are difficult, they can still do it. It doesn't matter what type of business you open. It is always important to be open to any skills that you might have, that you might be able to develop or continue developing, and always discovering those talents that you have, and always trusting in God that you have something special and that you keep continuing, whether there is any challenge in the road. There is always going to be success, and to always be humble and have faith that things will turn out well.
Carmen, can you tell me more about your own personal history and how long you've lived in the Eau Claire area?
I have been living 26 years in the United States. I currently have 3 kids, 2 daughters and 1 son, and 1 granddaughter. I have been living 15 years in Altoona, and I really like this place because it is very calm and it is very nice. I always feel the support from the community, and although English isn't my first language, I still am able to connect with others in the community. So I like to be able to participate in different kinds of events. I do speak to my family in Michoacan. It's about 26 years since I haven't seen my family, but my family is very proud. My parents are always telling me to keep going, and they always encourage. Since I was little, I always had I was always dreaming of doing more things.
I am so happy that you have taken time to talk to me about your history and your business.
So I do want to just give like a final message for those entrepreneurs that are wanting to start. If they have any kind of doubt, to just give that first step, because you never know what that first step can lead you to. And then if somebody asks me about my business or any advice on how to start a business, I am always welcome to help them. So I'm always open to questions. And then I will also always refer them to the Chamber of Commerce, as they always give me advice on what to do and always give me those resources to be able to expand my business.
That again was Carmen Solis. Talked to her late last week through an interpreter about her own journey of entrepreneurship and the remarks that she delivered last week to the Wisconsin Latino Chamber of Commerce. You can learn more about the group by going to LCC for Latino Chamber of Commerce, WI.org. That's LCCWI.org. Because again, despite the environment out there that is decidedly hostile, there are still people who are looking to, encourage others to share and chase their dreams. I know there's no shortage of articles about Latino business owners saying that customers have been staying away out of fear of either being, detained or deported, or being, simply on the scene when something bad is happening, when, Trump's masked police are showing up here. And so there's been a lot of push to support Latino-owned businesses. The Latino Chamber of Commerce has represented both Latino and non-Latino business owners throughout Wisconsin, help with economic development programs and providing access to networking opportunities, as you heard from Carmen there, basically advocating for a fair and merit-based business climate and being a champion for public policy that opens the doors of the marketplace for both emerging and established businesses and promoting lasting economic developments. And again, to learn more, head over to lccwi.org, lccwi.org for the Wisconsin Latino Chamber of Commerce. Jane Matenaer is coming up in just a little bit. She's going to tell us what's coming up on her program. She and Greg Bach will be along from 9 to 11 today across the Civic Media Radio Network. And then let's see, Todd Alba is coming up at 2 to 4, and he will actually have Jane as a guest at 2:35. And then, of course, there's the Maggie Dawn Show today from 4 until 6 across the Civic Media Radio Network. Parker Olson is producing not only the whole 3 hours here, he's digging up entertainment news to keep those of us who are news nerds in the know about things away from the front section. And those of you, 5 people left subscribing to USA Today who have the purple entertainment section in front of you, know exactly what Parker's going to do next. He's got entertainment news for us. Or do you?
I have news of entertainment.
All right, bring it along.
Johnny Depp is in negotiations to be Ebenezer Scrooge.
I would watch that. Now, bear in mind, as we cover every holiday season on this program, I don't know that anybody will be a better Ebenezer Scrooge than Michael Caine in the classic Muppet Christmas Carol. And if you haven't watched Muppet Christmas Carol, you are missing out. I mean, what?
I think this might be a slightly different version of a Christmas Carol.
It's totally going to be different. But the thing that made Michael Caine's work is that Michael Caine said, I will not take this role unless I can play it straight. And so the Muppets are doing Muppet things all around him, but he's not at any point winking in the camera. He's not, going along with the joke. He is totally bah humbugging his way through it. And it's incredible. It's really good. Will Johnny Depp's version have Muppets?
No, it's said to be a darker thriller version.
Why does everything have to be darker? Hey, let's remake Batman. It was a fun, campy series in the 1960s. Yes, but we're going to make it much darker. How about Superman? Yes, but we're going to make it darker. It's time for the 4th Spider-Man remake. Great. Can we make it darker? Is anybody making things a little lighter, a little more tongue-in-cheek nowadays?
Anybody? Not many people at all. I'll tell you what, Pat. I watched Casino Royale. I finally got around to putting a little James Bond in my life.
Well, congratulations on your first James Bond movie.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
What did we think?
I thought it was fine. Yeah. Gonna be totally honest. It's like,
you know what? You know what? You tried. You broke the seal on it. That's the important thing. That there may be another one now. I would not go any further than if you weren't that impressed by that one, the rest of the Daniel Craig ones aren't going to do it. Go watch Roger Moore or Sean Connery or Pierce Brosnan. Go watch one more. That way, at least you can. When the conversation comes up, who was the best James Bond? You can at least say, well, I liked this guy better than that guy.
Yeah.
And that's it. So, but Johnny Depp is Ebenezer Scrooge. Okay. But that's just talk. So we have no idea when this would be filmed or come out or anything like that.
No, but I think it's pretty darn close to being a contract. Okay. So
all right.
There. We'll know soon. I bet we'll know by Christmas.
Okay. Will it be on par of the Chris Farley biopic? I mean, because that's something that's getting a lot of popular buzz right now.
Surely that'll be an entirely different vibe.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, it's on our watch list. We haven't seen it yet. We're waiting till after our next Target run because apparently we're going to need extra boxes of tissues because it's a real tearjerker.
Farley will be played by Paul Walter Hauser, who actually was just in the new Naked Gun movie. And the Farley biopic will be directed by Josh Gad.
Oh, wait. This is new. We're not talking about the Chris Farley documentary. Oh, no, that was John Candy. Sorry, got my comedians mixed up. The John Candy documentary is on our watch list. A Chris Farley biopic is in the works.
Yes.
Oh, I really should have shown up for rehearsal. I would have caught this thing in dress rehearsal if I'd have been there, but I was not. My apologies. So a Chris Farley biopic. Okay, not the same as a documentary, which also means this thing could either be really dead on or it could make a lot of people upset if it does not give what they think is a fair representation of him.
Biopics are kind of murky water. I don't know if we need to be doing that. I don't know. I get a weird vibe.
I mean, I would like to see somebody do a really good Chris Farley biopic, but when that happens, again, you could either get a Rami Malek who does a very good job with Freddie Mercury and have something like that, but there's been no shortage of examples where the person just falls short or the storytelling falls short, and so I will be. Let's just give it the generic. I will be interested to see how this comes along, but I will be watching for it. All right. Anything else we want to cover here, entertainment wise?
Would you like an update on the Louvre jewel heist?
Did they find the jewels?
They found 2 suspects connected to the jewels, which are worth $102 million.
Ooh, well, in that case, the next question we have to ask is, when will the biopic be made of these 2 suspects? Because that's all we do now is we dwell on the crime stuff. I'm sure they've got a backstory. There will be a documentary. They will show up on daytime TV and talk about their troubled childhoods.
Oh, yes. These guys were arrested by I believe it was the Paris Gang Brigade. Was the police division that got them. I am very excited for this Scooby-Doo remake documentary.
Scooby-Doo remake of the Louvre heist. I love it. Tony puts up on YouTube, back to the Chris Farley biopic. I wonder if David Spade is involved. That would be a good indicator of quality. That is very true.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go. Now we know what to watch for and see if this thing comes together. All right. Like I said, Jane Matenaer show comes up next along with Greg Bach, Matenaer On Air. So Jane will join us to talk about what she's got on the show this week coming up in just a bit. Remember, follow what we do all day long over at Up North News, upnorthnewswi.com, and subscribe to our newsletters there. We'll be right back. Tomorrow on the program, we will be talking to Ruth Conniff from the Wisconsin Examiner. We'll meet with Cam Stevenson from Courier Newsroom, Capitol Hill correspondent. Will talk to us live from Washington, D.C. about any developments that take place in the government shutdown fight. And we'll talk to a guest from Friends of the Apostle Islands National Lakeshore and the impact not only there, but of national parks around the country because of the government shutdown. So be sure you join us for all of that tomorrow. And if you can't join us tomorrow live, well, get us on a podcast. Get over to Spotify or Apple and sign up, and that way you won't miss a guest. You won't miss a topic. Same thing goes for the program that comes up next year across the Civic Media Radio Network. That would be Matenaer On Air with Jane Matenaer and Greg Bach. Jane Matenaer, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Pat. Good morning, Parker. Good morning, everyone, and hello, live stream. Sorry about that little slip in the secret show there.
The secret show is a little spicier that way, but we were telling stories.
The word I never use. Just
never, ever.
Greg?
Yes.
No, don't ask Greg.
No, don't ask Greg. No, he'll tell all. But we were talking about age differences in people and recognizing people. And I don't know if I've told you how Sherry and I now identify elders in the crowd. As we started, as we were going out to things in public, and we'd say afterwards, I was going to say something about that older couple, but then I realized they're not really older. They're our age. And
they're us.
They're us. And
they're
so
us.
You ever notice for like, when toddlers are like 18 months old or maybe 2 years old, and they see somebody that's pretty much their age, and they point to them and they go, baby.
Yes.
We realize that's what we're doing now is we're just so now when we see a couple and we're not sure if they're really older than us or not, we just point and go, baby.
Oh, that's really funny, Pat.
Yeah.
Yeah. My husband and I continue to try and delude ourselves, like when we go away on vacation, and we'll look around and go, well, we're among the younger ones here. Ish.
We used to be. I mean, I used to go on these holiday vacations, travel trips, and Sherry and I would go, and we would bring the average age of the bus down to like 77. And now we're not a drag on the average anymore. We're much closer to the mean than ever before. But we now are at that point on, say, a Tuesday. We're like, well, do we need to run over to the grocery store and get something? We could wait till tomorrow. We get the senior discount on Wednesdays, and that's how it used to sound like, well, I guess we'll get the senior discount. And now it's like, wait till Wednesday. On Wednesday, we'll get the senior discount. This will be great.
Absolutely. There, at some point, you finally embrace that stuff and go, you know what? I am this age. Yes. I'm getting the 5% off. Darn it. I don't care.
You embrace, you go, I am a baby. That's exactly
I am baby girl, apparently.
I did. Oh, yeah. You got called baby girl over the weekend.
So weird. It was so weird. It's weird.
Our family, our whole extended family, is on a big old Snapchat chain. And I don't know if you use Snapchat or not, but you can also create like these avatars, these little cartoon characters of yourself.
Sure.
And I did finally have to acknowledge I was sending a happy birthday to my younger daughter today. And I'm looking at it going, that's not me anymore. So I had to go to the little avatar and I had to make the hair a little grayer.
Oh,
and yep, make the faces a little fuller. And I'm looking and going, yeah, that's me, and that is in no way depressing, but it is it just is who we are.
You don't have to be honest with an avatar, Pat. Come on, that's your one opportunity to embrace falsehoods.
That's not what my family would say.
I suppose.
Like, hey, somebody's a little out of date there. You think you're in middle school? No.
Nice try, Dad.
Yep, exactly. What is coming up on Matenaer On Air today or this week or whatever?
We are going to talk to Mr. Global. Matt Randolph is going to be joining us after the 9:30 news to talk about energy costs. And of course, that was a big promise of the president that energy prices will be down and we're going to drill, baby, drill, and it's all going to be fantastic. And coal is back. And so we're going to talk about a number of those things coming up with Mr. Global, Matt Randolph, who will be here after 9:30. We're going to start off the show talking about the FEMA dollars that have now been denied to Wisconsin. Also a story about Michael Gableman. Remember Michael Gableman?
Michael Gableman, yes.
Michael Gableman, who Robin Voss hired at taxpayer expense for what, $2 million we paid him?
And did a quote-unquote investigation worthy of Inspector Clouseau from the Pink Panther movies. Yes.
And found absolutely zippo nothing as far as shenanigans going on with the 2020 election. And now there is some talk that Michael Gableman should have to pay for some of those legal fees.
Yes, he should.
I think that's kind of I think that's kind of a good thing.
I'm more motivated than ever because we have a president who is currently shaking down the Department of Justice for $230 million, meaning he's shaking down taxpayers. And so the extent to which, we can get that from people who have unjustly bilked taxpayers the way that former Justice Gableman has, I think that would be completely fair. And
hour number 2, we're going to start off with Scott Bessent. Of course, he's our Secretary of the Treasury.
Yes.
He is just nothing more than a lowly, struggling soybean farmer, Pat. Did you know that?
Oh, no, I did not know that.
I didn't realize that until he said over the weekend that he, too, is a soybean farmer. Of course, I think he's worth $500 million, but
aren't they all?
That's just a little side note. But yes, we're going to talk about poor Scott Bessent struggling, apparently, because of tariffs.
The struggles are real for them.
They are.
All right. Well, I wish him well, and I'm sure that anything that we have to say about that will more accurately reflect, I don't know, the real soybean farmers of Wisconsin and the uncertainty that they're going through right now, thanks to these guys. So for all that and more, Jane Matenaer, Greg Bach, coming up right after the 9 o'clock news here across the Civic Media Radio Network. Thank you for that, Jane. Appreciate it. Have a great start to the week.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week.
See you later. And again, coming up later this week on the program, we will be talking. We talked about healthcare, and on Thursday we'll talk to an expert on Medicare Advantage plans, because those are also a healthcare feature that costs could be going up sharply if you don't know exactly what to do, whether you're an elder or the caregiver of one. So tune in for that later this week as well. I'm Pat Kreitlow from Up North News. Thanks for being here today. We'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, 6 a.m. here up north.